What is a nation? Is it a geographical location, a landmass, a group of people? The question again is, what is a nation? This is YOU.GOV. I am Itohan Olomu-Agbodo. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Hello everyone, my name is P. Remember how I always tell you that you decide what is trending? Well, I wasn't wrong, because now trending and forever will be trending is the Pastor Chris in Every Home campaign. This is so awesome. You know, that moment where we have Pastor Chris in every city, every home, every restaurant, hotels, hospitals, wherever. We're just going to be right in your face. This is amazing. Now, you understand that if we can change a man in every home, we can indeed change the world. So let's get started in doing that as you join in this campaign by always watching Pastor Chris. And after you're done watching Pastor Chris, you can also take a picture of you watching any of Pastor Chris's message, post it on social media, Kingshot, let people hear about it, tell people about it. That is where we talk about the spreading. And when you're done doing that, make sure you are a proud sponsor. Trust me, you will be glad you did. Like I always tell you, you decide what is trending. But guys, right now I have to leave because I have me some Pastor Chris to watch. Bye, guys.
This week on EduBox, we will be concentrating on the theory of nations as propounded by Reverend Dr. Chris Oyakilome, PhD, DSCDD. We will take an excerpt from the man of God as he shares his thoughts on what makes some countries powerful and influential. I find that all around the world, there are too many people who don't understand the definition of nationhood. It is sad that all over Africa, particularly, many have not understood their reason for being. Africa was always called the dark continent, not because of the color of the skin, but because of the poverty of their minds. But the time has come for us to make the difference, and we will. That is it on EduBox.
You're welcome back. This is YOU.GOV, and it's all about government functions and citizens' corresponding obligations. This week, we will focus on the concept of nationhood. A nation is a stable community of people formed on the basis of a common language, territory, economic life, ethnicity, or psychological makeup, manifested in a common culture. A nation is distinct from a people and is more abstract and more overtly political than an ethnic group. It is a cultural, political community that has become conscious of its autonomy, unity, and particular interests. A nation is also defined as a large body of people united by common descent, history, culture, or language, inhabiting a particular state or territory. To elaborate further on this concept, we will make particular reference to the theory of nations as postulated by the president of the Believers Love World Nation, Reverend Dr. Chris Oyakilome, fondly called Pastor Chris. Take a listen.
The first few thoughts that I would like to impress on your mind tonight is based on what I call the theory of nations, because I find that all around the world there are too many people who don't understand the definition of nationhood. It's sad that all over Africa particularly, many have not understood their reason for being. Africa was always called a dark continent, not because of the color of their skin, but because of the poverty of their minds. But the time has come for us to make a difference. And we will. I have tried to develop a few thoughts to communicate with you tonight on the theory of nations, so you can understand where we are at in the present scheme of things, what has been accomplished and what is yet to be accomplished, and you can find your place. In developing a theory of nations, there are certain concepts that require mention and definition. All over the world, wherever the definitions of these concepts are nebulous, they are misused, and usually leading to the sufferings of so many people. These concepts are: 1, nation; 2, nationalism; 3, state; 4, ethnicity; 5, to understand the development of nations, we must observe that man as he is a gregarious animal. Those human beings naturally relate socially. And as you know, social relationships automatically define themselves with respect to strength and weakness, leadership and followership, because of the human tendency to protect or seek protection. And so the weaker congregate around the stronger to be protected. And this feeling of security heightens the weaker's ability to function socially. And so naturally, the stronger demands further submission and allegiance, while defining limits of freedom of the weaker of the species. Certain nations like Nigeria have completely flawed the proper or the popular definitions of nation, as a large body of people organized under independent government and sharing common customs, origins, history, and language. Canada also, among others, cannot fall into this narrow definition of nation. As you know, Nigeria has multiplied languages, diverse customs and cultures, a wide range of divergent histories for its many peoples, which definitely don't have a common origin. Thus, by this definition, Nigeria will not qualify to be a nation, but a state only. And there are many other countries all around the world that can only be described as states. A state begins with the paraphernalia of government, with a definite territorial jurisdiction. It is an institutional structure with territorial integrity. Thus, without a defined land space, a state cannot function, whereas a nation need not be territorial in nature. As a matter of fact, the United Nations organization, we call the UN, by its name, cannot be defined as it is called. It is more of an association of states. States are bound together by law and force. Nations are not created by law and force, but by free consent of its members and the definition of their purpose. States are static, while nations are dynamic. Thriving states, therefore, are those who, through education and culture, have helped their people develop nationhood. A state is ready for prosperity and development when it delivers to its people a robust Bill of Rights, a sense of liberty, and freedom of expression. The purpose of nations is the realization of human aspirations. It is in pursuance of man's dream or desire for happiness, prosperity, self-expression, ecological development, self-fulfillment, and his insatiable and unending desire for self-discovery and maximization of his intellectual, physical, and spiritual abilities. All these man knows he cannot attain or achieve in his isolation, but in his relationships with like-minded creatures. The purpose of states, on the other hand, is to form such associations providing and establishing justice, domestic tranquility, common defense, promote general welfare, and secure their postulated ethnicity for themselves and their posterity. It is to enact laws and provide force in ensuring that defined limits are not exceeded. As a people, we have attained statehood, but we are yet to achieve nationhood.
Well, that was Pastor Chris talking about the theory of nations and defining the concept of nation. We will go to the streets now to get people's reaction on the concept of nation. In fact, what is a nation? That is what we'll be asking them.
A nation to me is just I would say a country where 2 or 3 people are living together as in love and unity.
There is no spirit of unity, number one. Then the citizens are not feeling the pulse of the government. People are suffering, people are hungry, people are jobless. Everybody, people are complaining. Crime is getting more because of suffering, because of poverty.
To me, I think our country, Nigeria, is a great country. It's a great country where I know that, yes, that what is going on right now is just a face of a challenge to build people's faith up. For those that doesn't know God, to go closer to God.
A nation is a combination of different states that comes together to form a unity and a nation, and as a leader that will govern them.
I'm a business owner, and like every business owner, on a day-to-day basis, you have to deal with a lot of things. Some are nice, some are not so nice. And it could become very distracting. And for me, I keep myself above all the distractions by ensuring that inside me I have the right information that keeps me focused, clear, and grounded on what it is my ultimate visions are. That's why I pay attention to Pastor Chris. And I invite you to do the same. And there is no better time and no better opportunity to do that than with the Pastor Chris in Every Home campaign. Now, we spend a lot of time listening to all kinds of information. Now, I advise you to do this one this time. Try to spend your time focusing on the Word of God as preached by Pastor Chris and see how much farther it'll take you. For this campaign, we will watch, we will spread, and we will sponsor. Everybody needs Pastor Chris in every home. And that's exactly what's going to keep you over in this time and in time to come.
You're welcome back. Interesting responses and definitions from the streets there. The Black's Law Dictionary defines a nation as a people or aggregation of men existing in the form of an organized rural society, usually inhabiting a distinct portion of the earth, speaking the same language, using the same customs, possessing historic continuity, and distinguished from other like groups by their racial origin and characteristics, and generally, but not necessarily, living under the same government and sovereignty. Pastor Chris has more on the Theory of Nations. Stay with us.
Why, in spite of government efforts, should the GDP of African nations continue to capsize? Why is their per capita income so embarrassingly low compared to others? The answer lies in the fact that their gross mental attitude is wrong. The answer lies in the fact that their gross mental output is horrendously low. The answer is an aggressive educational policy and program. The educational policies and programs in African nations must be reviewed to foster intellectual and environmental productivity. Praise the Lord. We have our role to play as individuals. There is individual social responsibility. In spite of the odds, we must learn to appreciate our gains in Africa. In Nigeria particularly, in spite of cheap propaganda against our country, Nigeria, I tell you, is still among the freest countries in the world. There are those who may argue with that, but many of us have traveled around the world and we can tell you it's true. We must be grateful for our opportunities so far. Many of us should be grateful for the scholarship we received, the education, the environment, and even the wonderful peace-loving people of Nigeria with whom we have been associated. Many of us have benefited from the structure of our society, whether you love it or hate it. We must now give back to it. This thinking is the beginning of the birth of nationhood. The idea that we owe our society something, that we owe our nation something. We must not resign ourselves to always calling out for help and handouts, reaching out to be given something by government or government representatives. We must make a solemn decision to play on the field, to become involved, and to be spectators no more. We must gladly render service and seek to improve our society. We must dream bigger and higher to create for ourselves and posterity a more secure, prosperous, virile, and egalitarian society. I'm also concerned about corporate social responsibility. It is sad that at this time of our odyssey of self-realization as a nation, major corporations and business establishments have not committed themselves to the infrastructural development of the country, a country from which they have so graciously benefited. No wonder the outcry in the Niger Delta is getting louder, though unheeded. We can set the pace and grow an extraordinary economy in Africa. Translate and transit from third world to first world. We can do it. Give somebody a high five and say, we can do it. We can do it. That the micro-ethnosystems within sovereign nations are not only interrelated, they are interdependent. That means we need one another. I need you. You need me. And because you need me, I want to give you the best. And so I will improve myself so that when you require my abilities, you will get the best of me. You must also improve yourself so that when I need you, I can get the best of you. Together, when we put the best together, we can have a thriving nation. The key right now is education. The key is education. Let us all invest in education. Let us all get concerned about education. If you haven't gone to school, go to school.
Some synonyms of the word nation are country, state, land, sovereign state, nation state, kingdom, empire, republic, confederation, federation, commonwealth, power, superpower, polity, domain, and more. We have some more tidbits for you. Do stay with us. And that's where we wrap up YOU.GOV this week. For comments and updates, visit www.loveofplus.org or visit any of the mobile app stores to download our app, Love.Plus. Also send your comments to the numbers that will be shown on your screen now and send your emails to info@loveofplus.org. Remember, you are actually the government. Get your permanent voters card and get registered to vote. I am Itohan, Olomu-Agbodo. See you same time next week.